back to New Mystery of the Emblem, Heroes of Light and Shadow, and time to continue the adventure in Macedon with Chapter 3, Abducted Princess. Which sounds like the plot of every Mario game ever. But anyway, we get something a bit different for the opening scroll this time. We actually get a backstory for the country of Macedon / Maiden / whatever. So apparently, Macedon used to be ruled by the Dolunan Empire, and they sent a whole bunch of slaves there. So obviously conditions weren't too good. And then you might notice that name, Iote, from the shield that protects you from arrows, or protects flyers from arrows. Yes, the shield is in fact named after him. Iote was one of the original heroes of this game. I mean, this game's not really that big on the whole, like, legendary heroes of the past thing. Unlike Fire Emblem 4, they're not really elaborated on all that much. Most of them are just very vaguely alluded to. But yes, apparently they also managed to domesticate wyverns. How they did that, I have no idea. Later on, we'll see just how nasty wyverns are. Oh, I hate them so much. Anyway, so apparently, oh yes, I love the title Crimson Dragoon from Minerva. So much better than Red Dragon Knight. So much better. And I still don't see what... Yeah, I mean, Michalis is considered second coming of Iote. Yeah, although he did kind of murder his father. Admittedly, Garneth sort of talked him into that, but... Anyway, Jagan is now going to give us another one of these assessments. He's going to assess our skill. And of course, Mary Sue is instantly an expert in everything she does. And right then, you might see from the top screen there, that map. Yep, this is a pretty big map, and this chapter's kind of long and very annoying. I'm not sure how I really feel about this chapter, because it's... I mean, there's a way you can make it shorter, but it's not recommended. Anyway, as the things here say, there are a lot of villages in this chapter, but the thing Marth says here, it's actually not all that relevant, because it actually, if you want to know, there's only one thief on this map, and it's possible to kill him as early as, maybe not turn 1, but it's possible to kill him very early. Once you do, all the villages are safe. So, actually, you don't really need to worry about the villagers. What you do need to worry about, though, is the fact that Marth has to get to all of them. And this is where, yeah. Essentially, this chapter is one long, spiraling hike around the mountains, and with very little battles to break it up. So it kinda gets a bit boring, so I apologize in advance. Anyway, here's a flashback to Shadow Dragon with, by the way, this dialogue actually makes kind of doesn't make as much sense out of context. When he says "Zap me back alone," he's referring to her warp staff. That flashback kind of loses something without the full dialogue. Yes, Lena offered to teleport him with the warp staff, and he's like, "No, I'm not abandoning you." And Marvin's also talking about, oh dear, Mathis. If we had Julian and Lena with us, we could persuade him, if he didn't kill them first, that is. For those who don't know, Mathis is the namer for a thing known as Mathis Syndrome. I think I've talked about this before. Essentially, Mathis Syndrome is where a recruitable enemy will willingly attack the one who recruits them. It's so named because in Shadow Dragon, Mathis just has this tendency to, even though his battle quote consists of him saying, "Lena, Lena, where are you?" He will still willingly attack and most likely kill her if she gets into his range. Yeah, he's not well liked among the fanbase for that as well as other reasons. So, yeah, basically, Jagan's explained the situation here, and now we've got to quell the rebellion, and something seems to be wrong in Arcania, but, what do you have? And now, A warning. This is Militia's first support conversation. I'm just about to warn you, please be warned what you're about to get into. Because this is, well, yes. You'll see. Oh boy, you'll see. So yes, I've heard some comments on earlier videos about people mentioning Sarah. Funny they should say that, because Melissa is, let's just say, even more eccentric than she was. And I think she remembers things a little differently. It's funny, my unit has to play deadpan here. There were no bandits in the village at the time. We, saved before they even came. And then this one. No, you're probably thinking of Ellwood there. No, Mark isn't mounted. Though, for this chapter, you'd wish he was. She is aware that, I don't think it's worth it. No, she's not gonna listen. And unfortunately, things are about to get even worse. I did warn you. Yep, here it comes. She's clearly not listening. Oh god, no. No, 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 no. Oh, when I saw that, I was just like, ah. I think I had to mentally whack my head against the wall after I saw the end of that. Anyway, right then, okay, just have to compose myself now. Okay, this chapter, I think Mary Sue's gonna go back to... I was thinking of making her a Pegasus Knight at one point, and then I was thinking, perhaps not so much. You'll see Pegasus Mary Sue later. And Ryan is actually starting to get pretty good now, as you can tell by his stats there. We've also got Linda there. I told you she'd join you straight from the battle preparations. Aaron is going to convoy some stuff. Definitely that small bully in there, and the Lady Sword, which he can't use, obviously. And again, we don't really have many ladies who can use it at this point, apart from Mary Sue. So it'll probably be going into her hands, and this is when I realized, hey, you know what, I might actually want to make her a camp for this one. Because I realized Cavalier actually has more movement than Pegasus Knight, strangely enough. Although, of course, that's offset by the fact that Pegasus Knights can fly. Right, I was tossing up whether to grab the Lady Sword, but, I guess I mean, they're actually quite rare. There's another, I believe, 2 in the game. But we don't get the next one until quite a bit later, so I might want to save it. And here we have Mark with the Fire Emblem taking up a slot in his inventory. I actually forgot it did that. I'm not sure if it did that in Shadow Dragon. I do know that in the original Mystery of the Emblem, the Fire Emblem actually took up a slot in, of all things, his name. It kind of makes sense in context, but for some reason, that's why in the fan translation of that game, Mark's name got shortened to Mar, and then the emblem, when he got it. This was because, in the Japanese version, yeah, it took up the space left by the, last 2 katakana slots in his name, and because Mark, or Marusu, is, only 3 katakana, and they have space for 5, yeah, they made the emblem take up the last 2 slots. Unfortunately, when transitioning for that to, English, translating katakana, they had to do it just as single letter spaces, and yeah, so they only had 3 spaces for his name. But anyway, so there was the boss there, and there's Mathis. Oh dear, yep, he's back. Lots and lots of Dracos in the mountains, and ooh, that one dropped a Master Seal, that's cool. Quite a few villages, and as you can see, yep, we've got a long way to go. Yeah, I'll talk more about this is probably not my favourite chapter in the game. But first we have, oh, who's this? It's, hey, it's Pala! So we got one sister in the last chapter, now the next sister is here. What about the third? Unfortunately, she won't be joining us for quite some time, true to the archetype she started. Julian here, trying to make no can do into a catchphrase, and apparently Lena is gone and Maria is missing too. This is interesting. So Julian is staying in the village to investigate the mysterious disappearings. And as you can tell, in order to recruit Julian, we will need to get Marth all the way up there. But first... Yes, by Catria, last chapter. Oh, who am I kidding? Of course you were. Well, Paula is the second of the White Wings to join, the older sibling, and she does not disappoint either. Although, yeah, in this case, don't be fooled by her growths. That's not where her true usefulness lies. She has higher strength than Catria does, and ridiculously overkilled skill, but her speed growth is unusually low for a Pegasus Knight, and I mean really unusually low. But don't let that fool you, because if you look at her bases, her base speed is so high, she actually doesn't need that high of a growth. She's in fact likely to max it out anyway. And given Draco Knight's low speed cap, she only needs to gain speed 6 times in 30 level ups, which isn't that tall in order to max it. So don't be fooled by that growth. Her speed is actually still pretty good. But of course, the one main thing that shines about her is the fact that she comes with, and has the ability to use, a silver lance right off the bat. She will also double just about everything with it, so she really acts as the powerhouse of the Pegasus Knights. And for that reason, I would probably recommend promoting her to Draco Knight over Falcon Knight. Apparently, I think I may have done the maths wrong, I don't know. According to the maths I did, she's still likely to max out speed as a Falcon Knight, which I find hard to believe, so I might have done that wrong. Serenade's Forest has no actual average data for Falcon Knight, so I had to actually calculate them all myself. But I still think her real forte is strength and hitting hard, and that's what Draco Knight helps her to do. She also has slightly higher defense than her siblings. She's got the same defense growth as Catria, but she's got a slightly higher base in that area. She does have a tiny bit lower resistance, but it's pretty negligible anyway. So essentially, to sum up, Paula is actually, yeah, Paula's really, really good too. Almost to the point of being totally game-breaking, just like Catria. They're both great, and if you're using 2 Pegasus Knights, you probably would be using both of them. Most, if not all, Lunatic playthroughs I've seen use both of them, and yes, for good reason. Again, they're kind of sort of polar opposites. Catria is great all-round, decent bases, amazing growths, and all-around amazing. Paula has less in the growths area, but more in bases. I personally tend to prefer growths over bases, which is why I actually don't use her that often. But from those who do use her, I have not heard a single negative word, so if you want to use her, by all means, go ahead. She's pretty amazing, just like her sister. Speaking of her sister, I actually didn't go on about whether I think she's best as Draco Knight or Falco Knight, so I guess I'll do it here. Just a warning that I'm not actually talking about Paula anymore. Well, it actually kind of depends. She can be really good as either, and personally, actually, I can't really fault you for either choice. Either is good, and I'll just end it there. So, yep, that's Paula. She's amazing. And yeah, it's a good thing Paula just happens to be amazing, because she's going to have to hold the fort on her own for quite a bit. Now, see that thief there? Yeah, he's the thief I mentioned before. He's the only thief on this map. You want Paula to kill him as soon as possible. because he's the only threat to the villagers on this map. Now, see that swarm of Draco Knights there? Yes, they will come for you if you get in their range. Be careful. Also, you might want to keep Pala out of their range, because you don't want her to have to deal with them. She's got enough on her plate as it is, as you'll see. Now, also, you got to watch out here. There's a Ballista up there. Yep, the first Ballistician in the game. Now, the first thing you should know about Ballisticians in this game, you do not get a playable Ballistician this time. Yep, they've been downgraded to enemy only. While the two Ballisticians from Shadow Dragon do return as playable characters, both of them are different classes. So, yeah, you don't get a chance to use these, which is a shame because I actually found Ballistas kind of fun. Alright, here is where I was stupid. I was like, hey, let's block off the village so that the thief doesn't get there. Unfortunately, I didn't realise she's now in range of the Dracos. Oh well, Marsaw was at the first village. And, okay, let's look at these houses here. That's interesting. Yes, this guy's hinting at something kind of weird. This map has a hidden reinforcement trigger point. Apparently, visiting that armory causes reinforcements to spawn. I say apparently because I haven't actually tested it. By the time I visited the armory in all my playthroughs, I'd already killed everything on the map, so the reinforcements naturally didn't spawn. Speaking of reinforcements, here they come now. Yes, remember what I said about Katria having a lot on her plate? Well, not Katria, Pala. Well, again, it's a good thing Pala is so good because she's going to have to deal with some reinforcements. Those reinforcements will keep tormenting her for quite a while. Now, with that vulnerary in her inventory, she should be able to hold out, but she might need a little bit of luck, and I actually think maybe a better strategy would be to kill the thief first, obviously, and then have her run and leave the reinforcements be. Because, you'll see later, but I only just barely had her survive. And I got very lucky indeed, so yeah. And that village was thinly veiled foreshadowing of a character who'll be appearing a bit later. We'll see more of him when we get to it. And now the villagers are wondering, yeah, so apparently Prince Mishalis is dead, Minerva's missing, Maria's missing, Minerva's captured, and it doesn't look good, and they hope the country doesn't end up like Groost. Yeah, the game really makes you feel like bastards for what you did back there. We clearly weren't on the right side in that chapter, and yep, that's kind of depressing. Now, okay, first thing I want to say, this music here, this was actually the battle preparations theme from Fire Emblem 5. When I first heard this in Shadow Dragon, I was like, I had this nagging feeling in my mind I'd heard this song before. And I had, yes, it's the battle preparations theme from FE5, so by all means go and check that out, you will hear the similarities. Now, here is where we get a rundown on, there are two ways you can approach this chapter. And I am probably going to kill that thief. I am actually going to have to stop here because, remember that village before talked about Mishalis being dead? Holy crap, he's not! This kind of comes out of nowhere, yeah. And Rook is just as, bewildered as we probably are. And he's not going to be explaining how he survived, at this point, so, we'll have to wait till later to get that explanation. But it seems as though, he wants Minerva back, and he won't rest until he's disposed of, quote, him, unquote. I have a feeling they took some liberties with the translation there, but that's certainly not a bad thing. Anyway, that him Mishalis spoke of before, that's probably not who you think it is. And now we also see the portrait here of dirty-faced Minerva. Funnily enough, this game actually does include an awful lot of alternate portraits for characters that actually show injuries and battle damage. So, thank you, Pala, that was complete overkill. For some reason, this game seems to think that, yep, that's exactly what I was counting on, and now... And with that, the villagers are safe. Yes, that is the only thief you will see in this chapter. Okay, right, going to use the vulnerary here. Actually, I don't think I forgot whether or not her luring... There was a run where I had her lure the Dracos accidentally. I don't know if it was this run or not. So anyway, Marv has visited that village, now he's got to hightail it to the next one. And this is where I should probably talk about this chapter and the map in general. As that previous village said, there are two ways you can approach this chapter. You can either use the key you just received to unlock the bridge, and face the enemy head on. If you do that, everyone will rush you at once, you might have some problems, and you will most likely end up killing Mathis long before you even can think about trying to recruit him. If you don't want to do that, you have to take the long way round. And I mean the really long way round. You gotta go all the way around the mountain, and up here, straight to this village, recruiting Julian on your way, then going down into the Rebels' fortress. So you can either complete this chapter the easy way, but you'll miss out on a character, and it's a lot more dangerous, or the much more difficult way. Now I'm here, I had Palace down the 4th. 1, she needs the healing, 2, she needs the evasion, and 3, I want to stop 3 reinforcements popping up per turn is not something I'd like. So as if you haven't guessed, I am taking the long way this chapter, and oh boy is it the long way, especially for people like Ryan and Linda and unfortunately Marv. This is also the reason I made Mary Sue a Cavalier here. In my first playthrough, I had to do this with an armor my units. Oh god, that was torture. Absolute torture. Unfortunately, Pala is now about to get attacked by 3 guys. This is not good. At this point I was like, oh no, enjoy that critical while you can, because it's probably not going to last. But, yeah, again, yep, Pala's specialty is strength, mostly. Oh crap, that last guy is going to kill her, isn't he? Yeah, Pala has a bit of a tough challenge, and this is just regular hard. On anything higher than hard, I'd probably recommend you have her run and phew! Yep, that would have done exactly enough damage to kill her, but I got phenomenally lucky there. So yeah, it looks like this game's RNG doesn't hate me. I guess we have kind of a love-hate relationship. But Marv is about to village visit number 2. Village number 2, and hey, look! Here's another familiar face. We got Cord in the last chapter. Now it's time to meet Ford. Corduroy joined us, right? Yeah, it's actually possible you may have missed Cord. So that dialogue takes into account both possibilities. So yeah, they're gonna fight you because, with you because you know Sheeta. Yeah, so here is Ford. You know what they say, wait till a remake for an Axe user, and then you get 2 in the space of 2 chapters. Yes, Ford, the second member of the duo, joins, finally, and those who watch my other videos may remember him as Guy with Hammer, when I temporarily forgot their names. Of the 2, Ford has higher strength, though only very slightly higher. The most notable difference is, Ford specialises in skill at the expense of speed, so he's going to be hitting hard and hitting most of the time, but with a much lower speed growth, he's not going to be doubling as often. His luck growth is also slightly lower than Cord's, but due to the base being an awful lot lower, that's really not his strong suit either. And, like Cord, he doesn't really have good defense, although his HP is still great. Really though, I find him the worst of the 3 Axe fighters, mainly because I'd much rather be consistently doubling and not being doubled, than I would have more chance of hitting. Even though Axe users do desperately need a higher hit rate, and of course, you know, good skill helps with that, I still think that doesn't really offset the fact that he's got an awful speed growth, and again, that's not a good thing in a physical fighter, especially one with low defense. Like, I mean, on the higher difficulties, he's gonna get doubled and utterly shredded, so yeah. I will say the one thing he does have going for him, though, is that out of the 3 axe fighters, he does have the highest starting axe rank. Core only had an E, but Ford has a C, which is a lot higher. That's mostly, though, so he can use a hammer right from the start. Yes, the others actually can't use hammers from the beginning, so you'll have to keep that hammer on him until they get higher ranks, but really, that does little, I think, to offset his speed issues. So, in my opinion, Ford is probably the worst of the 3 axe fighters. So, yeah, I'm not really that much of a fan of Ford, but the hammer is nice, but I'll have to keep it until the others can use it. Oh, and of course, Militia has serious problems with this map too, having an awful 5 movement and having to trudge all the way around the whole map just to heal people. But anyway, looks like it's time to hit this save point, so we'll pick up where we left off next time.